Well, the dynamism of the Nigerian political space is one that never lacks spice. Well, it just might be an awful taste, but never tasteless. It keeps brewing and pouring out. 2019 looks like the year many are waiting for. But will it see some getting early retirement from politics? Would we see more of the same, or the birth of a new breed of politicians? Whatever it is, one thing is certain: stove on, cooking going on. But what's cooking? I'm trying to decipher what exactly this will mean for a lot of people. It's Political Stew. I'm Sulaiman Ahmed. Welcome. Catching up with stories as they break is what journalists do. Today has been one of the busiest in the many newsrooms across Nigeria. The faction, decamp or carpet crossing, whatever word you choose to call it, there is a movement somewhere. There's been plenty of that. And today, Nigeria's Senate President Bukola Saraki has left the APC. So if you're wondering to where, he's now back to the PDP. Well, for Frederick Nwabufo, who is a media personality, he's been asking, and he described that. He said, APC messy divorce is a case of a bitter side chick. And that's one beautiful story you have to, go through. Frederick has been asking the question, was Bukola Saraki ever a member of the APC? Did he truly leave the the PDP for the APC? But for him and for a lot of other people, well, the Senate President is not alone. Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed also did make another move. Well, if you thought that was all, then let me serve you this. Balaji Abdullahi has also resigned. That's the APC spokesman, and now back in the PDP with his political godfather, Dr. Saraki. So what's cooking? I smell something. Well, anyway, you can watch us live online on the go at tvcnews.tv live streaming. We're also live on YouTube, TVC News Nigeria Live, and youtube.com/Political Stew. You can catch all our past shows on our website, politicalstewng.com. Hey, you can also watch us live on Facebook. Well, before today, I had a sit down with former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, former governor of Kaduna State, and also one-time senator right here in Nigeria, and Senator Ahmed Markafi. And we had discussions on a wide range of issues, from his political presidential ambition, and also about those people who have been coming back in trickles to the PDP, what that meant for the PDP and also the RAPC. And he did also give his rating on President Muhammadu Buhari. That's just before what we're seeing now, came about. Let's have a sit down and see what it was like to hear from this statesman. Today, we have with us His Excellency Senator Ahmed Markafi. He joins us on Political Stew. Good to have you join us, Your Excellency.
Pleasure.
Quickly, I think before we get into the nitty-gritty, especially all other ingredients that will lead us towards 2019, there's one key other issue that many people haven't actually touched on, and it has to do with the key concern of politicians and even the electorate, the electoral umpire. I must be on the electoral umpire, and many would want to ask, an experienced politician like yourself, who's been there for many years, what he feels the electoral umpire should do as we move towards 2019.
Well, first of all, the card readers must work at each point they're deployed. If card readers will not work in any part of this country, then it should not be used at all in other parts of the country. The experience we had in 2015, where in some parts card readers worked and seemingly the result were, in terms of voter turnout, was low, and in areas where card readers, based on what the umpire said, did not work, the voting turnout was very high. That must be avoided. And so it must decide that card readers, when deployed, must work at each polling unit. Then the collation of the results must be at the conclusion of election. Polling unit must be announced there. Collation must be immediate at the ward level and announced at that level. At the local government level, it must be immediate, announced at that local government level, and the state, so the national. This way, everybody will be able to monitor and be able to tally the result by himself or herself, even before a formal announcement. You know, missing any of these points of announcement of results, people can now come in and tamper with the actual result, thereby, you know, making nonsense of the entire process. So we must make sure that does not happen. In the recruitment of personnel, we must continue to recruit credible Nigerians that will not, you know, connive, you know, with politicians, irrespective of party. I'm not particularly talking of one party. With any politician that will want to, you know, buy his way or her way to get them to actually compromise. The umpire also must attend to issues that the political parties will report to them even before the election. Observation is not the parties versus them. They are to listen to complaints that people make and address those complaints. It's not like it's not like a boxing contest between the parties.
In fact,
and
that's why, sorry to cut you, that's why I'm excited we're having this conversation, because it's more or less like observation and complaints you're giving out to the umpire, and I'm hoping that they will listen, because in the days ahead also we'll be having the chairman of INEC to also give his perspective to some of these key concerns you've raised. And it will seem as if, truly and honestly, from you're speaking from experience, because all this borders on transparency, timeliness, and having a corrupt-free system.
Absolutely.
So tell us, you know, some of those, if there are any tricks which politicians have employed over the years that would mean, you know, having a skewed and corrupt process on election day. Well,
there is no election that is 100% proof. Even the recent elections that brought President Trump, you hear all kinds of questions, even advanced democracies. What we are talking about here is flagrant and open collusion with one interest group or the other by the umpire, not just the electoral umpire. Here you must also bring in the security agencies. The security agencies are supposed to provide security for everybody. They are not supposed to take sides and make it easier for one of the contestants to emerge victorious. This is to make sure the environment is secured for the voters to come and vote, and for the votes to be tallied and legitimate results announced. But in some cases, if you look at the recent local government election in my state, Kaduna, where our party alleged, and it was on video, security agencies accompanying political office holders to go and cordon off, collation center, and basically carry away the election materials, and the next thing, a different result was announced from what the people knew the result was. So it is extremely important that the security agents to be deployed do not take side, protect our democracy, protect our country by providing the enabling secured environment for everybody.
Before we leave that, quickly, you also talked about the people, the agents that will run the affairs of the election. And I want to ask one key issue here of the use of members of the NYSC. Do you still think it's tenable we continue with using members of the NYSC, or should we go out having a more permanent instead of having ad hoc members of staff of INEC?
No, it is cheaper to use ad hoc. I mean, when you make it a permanent issue, how many times do you hold the election? And what would they be doing when the election don't hold? Definitely, the permanent staff of INEC are sufficient, but at time of election, it is right to continue to use qualified people of integrity as ad hoc staff, whether they are youth corps or other public officers in state or federal services, provided the people that are not with tainted character. Anybody known to be of dubious character, whether he is a youth corps or a public servant, should not be employed by INEC.
You're still a member of the PDP?
Pardon?
Are you still a member of the PDP?
Absolutely.
Tell us the future of the PDP, because once the PDP seemed to be embroiled in a huge pot of trouble, to the extent that then it's back and forth. Today Ahmed Markafi is the chairman, and the next day someone else is the chairman, back and forth. And at that point in time, Nigerians were wondering if you were truly aggrieved and pretty much settled now with the PDP, looking back.
No, you see, that's history. That's no longer a current issue. The current issue is that the PDP is leading a coalition of many other political parties, to come together with a view to going into the 2019 elections as one body, at the national level and at any other level that the parties find it convenient to have a common candidate. So we've gone far beyond that. It is the APC that is now split between the APC and the Reform APC, and we're happy and glad that the Reform APC has joined the coalition of the PDP.
Is this some kind of deja vu? Once we saw a split in the PDP with the NPDP emergence then, and how the APC today had a coalition of others that got them victorious. Is it that we're getting to see the table turning, in the way of the PDP, now having to see that there's a splinter group in the APC, and now you just talked about coalition. Perhaps maybe you should speak more towards speak more to the coalition of the PDP.
Well, majority of those that left the PDP then to join the APC have returned or are returning to the PDP. Some of them had returned before now. Some of them have returned under the umbrella of the Reform APC, APC, and some of them have returned under different parties that they've gone to within the 30-something political parties that we have electoral alliance. Even after our convention, some of our brothers and sisters that felt aggrieved are moved to SDP. Now, under the coalition, SDP is an integral part of the PDP coalition. So basically, we have regained what we had lost. Beyond that, we have gotten the support of several political parties to form a united coalition to confront the APC at the 2019 general election. So for us, it's really a plus, rather than what it is, for the APC.
That's huge.
Quite huge.
Triple plus, you called it.
If you call it, it can be quadruple or whatever, but it's a plus for us.
Do you see the PDP victorious in 2019?
If transparent elections are conducted, free, fair and transparent, definitely the PDP will emerge victorious. The coalition led by the PDP will emerge victorious.
What makes you think that the people would want to give the PDP another chance?
Well, let me cast your mind back to some past elections, which we won. And let me still use the example of Kaduna local government election. That's an election under the control of state government. But people know that PDP won majority of the local governments. PDP won more than 2/3 of the local governments. Then the results were now written. But still, the government could not rewrite some of the local governments. They had to announce them in favor of PDP. Still, there are local governments that the government has not cancelled, has not really made a statement, is inconclusive.
More like a stalemate.
More like a stalemate, which is not something you would have thought of before. Whether PDP or APC or whichever party, the general norm is that, once the state government is of a particular party, local government elections are taken as given, that 100%. But here we are, basically holding, the government that is in office by the neck, not knowing which direction to go. And that's a state that APC got about 1 million votes in 2015. And if now it's a stalemate, basically it's a state that we want. That should tell you the trajectory in favor that is going positive in favor of the PDP.
I'm trying to look at it, the example of someone who was heartbroken and you moved on to a new relationship. And for the fact that a new relationship has a little bit of hiccup, does that make you go back to your ex, so to say? So do you think the people, having tried the PDP for almost 2 decades, would want to go back to the PDP too soon?
But there is also a saying that you never know how good your first wife is until you marry a second wife. So it's the same situation we're in Nigeria. So Nigerians, in spite of our shortcomings, they knew what we were. But when they now got this new wife, they can see the shortcomings within even 2 years, much more than the shortcomings of the 16 years of the PDP. And they showed at the polls, 2019, I have no doubt.
You're really willing, with your arms wide open, to accept those who left your party for the APC. You don't think these are not true politicians? Because you stayed back in the PDP, even when the PDP had issues that was even directly linked to your leadership of the party at that point in time. So what do you make of the people who are coming back, haven't even said something, unsavory about the PDP?
You see, we're people of faith. Every day we pray for God to forgive us one sin or the other, known and unknown. If you don't learn to forgive and forget, then we are really not human, so to say. Looking at it even from that particular angle. And in any case, politics is a question of people having the free will to belong to an association at any particular point in time. There may be moral shortcomings in people moving up and down, but that's personal to them. But as a political party, and the Constitution has guaranteed this freedom of association, people are free to move to a political party that they want to belong to at any particular point. But they must know that, people will also be looking at this history of movement, that they may have created over time, in assessing whether they shall have confidence, to entrust them with public office or the other. And that's the kind of price that somebody may have to pay. But as a political party and the politicians, we must open our arms wide to receive people, no matter whether they were with us before they left or they're newcomers.
Now let's see if we can turn our, binoculars looking at the party and what issues they have actually been tackling. To start off, the war against Boko Haram, which they inherited from your party while in power, what would be your assessment so far?
Well, I think we have passed the worst level of the insurgency, but I do agree that insurgency is not an issue that overnight you do away with. In many countries of the world, developed and developing, that have passed through what we are passing through, still grapple with remnants of issues of insurgency. It may not be as violent as it is, here, but you still find elements of it. So, one is that the PDP government started recording successes even before we handed over. It was because of the successes we recorded that elections were able to take place in all those states that were bedeviled by high rate of insurgency at that particular period. If we had not recorded successes, election could not have taken place. And in any case, we didn't win elections in those particular areas. So if you say that PDP only wrote results, why didn't we write the result for ourselves? The results were in favor of APC. But I also have to give credit that the current government continued and has improved the situation reasonably, but it's not the end of it. With the resources committed and even creation of a division in that particular area, the spate of attacks that continue ought not to have actually continued. So there is still a lot of room for improvement, and if PDP returns to power, surely will build upon the record of successes that have been recorded by past government, PDP and APC alike. When we return, we will continue to pay greater emphasis to addressing the issue, not just dealing with the insurgents, but underlying factors that brought about the insurgency itself. If you don't deal with them, so if it is not Boko Haram, it could be another kind of insurgency. And not just in Northeast. We should look at the issues happening in the herdsmen, the farmers issue. We should look at the issue of the rustlers and the banditry that taking place, Zampara, Kaduna, axis. If you don't deal with this, they will grow into another form of insurgency, more widespread, more catastrophic. So we must really pay a lot of attention to underlying security challenges that we have in the country.
I had to wait and let you land, because listening to you for just a few minutes now would give some kind of sense of hope to many young Nigerians, talking about some kind of improvement in politics in the country. For the first time, some people are getting to hear an opposition and a key party leader say, or speak objectively on the issue of security, which you say to some extent the government of the day has tried, unlike when sometimes blatantly people just deny issues. But you raised a very key issue also, which your state has also suffered from. We're talking about cattle rustling, farmers, herders clashes, and it has continued to spread across even regions. If you were in charge, because I know you've already thrown your hat in the ring going for the presidency, we'll come to that, but if you were in charge, what would you have done differently to tackle the menace of herdsmen, farmers?
First of all, your observation about my sincerity on giving credit where I should give credit. I have been consistent. I've spoken like this before, that we must never politicize the issue of security, issue of national unity, issue of economy. There should be things that commonly bind us together, whether you are in power or you are in opposition. Of course, we will remain distinct political parties with different entities that will pursue power. So it's not something new that I'm doing. Secondly, how will I approach this differently from the government? First of all, is that government must take it serious. The mistake PDP made in respect of Boko Haram was that when it was not that big or serious, that we thought it was politically inclined. And this is the same mistake this government is making, thinking that these crises are sponsored by politicians. Which politician would sponsor people to go and kill his own people? Same ethnic background, same religion, whether you call it in Zampara Kaduna, is Muslim area. In the in the middle part of the southern part of the state, is Christian dominated area. So, for what reason? Is it religion or ethnicity? It doesn't apply. So, which politician would do that? So, this pretense that led to Boko Haram becoming a monster is the same kind of pretense that this government is, or denial, kind of denial, you know, of what the real issues are. We must not do that. If I happen to be nominated by my party and elected, I know it is serious, I know it is real, so there will be no denial that there is a real problem, and we will deploy all that is necessary to prevent it happening, and where unfortunately it occurs, the perpetrators immediately caught, and you know, the course of the law will follow. The armed forces and other security agencies must be given targets and all. First of all, they should be given what they need to confront the issues. But then, they must be given targets to achieve. It's not that you are giving resources, you are giving everything you require, and then go to sleep. You perform, you get rewarded. You don't perform, we'll look at what should be done. The communities must be protected when they volunteer information. The communities complain that when they volunteer information, the next thing is that these bandits attack them, which means somebody is leaking out the information, which means there are bad eggs within even the security system themselves. There must be bad eggs, but I'm sure there are few, there are minorities. So the security agencies will be supported to fish out these bad eggs, and let's deal with them the way bad eggs are supposed to be dealt with in accordance with the law. If you show seriousness and confront this and know that this is a real issue, I have no doubt that we'll get to the root of this issue. The farmers, the Fulani issue, we need to win the support of the local Fulanis. If we
when you say the local Fulanis, it then means other Fulanis outside.
Yeah, absolutely, because our border is porous. I'm happy. I've been campaigning that we need to reconsider the ECOWAS protocol that allows these foreign herdsmen into our country and go anywhere they respect. They don't respect our laws. They don't respect the lives and properties of our people. Of course, sometimes they act in consonance with bad eggs, you know, in our local community, whether they're Fulanis or whatever. But a major issue is the influx of these foreign Fulanis. I'm happy at one meeting, Vice President Osubanjo chaired, he agreed that maybe they need to have a look at that. It's not maybe they need to have, they must. The security of our people is the priority, not issue of any kind of protocol. If protocol will not secure the lives and property of our people, we must put a stop to that particular issue.
Let me pick on an issue before we move on to another very pressing one. While you were trying to, give your thoughts on that, you did say, for instance, in Kaduna, Taraba, and some other axes, you said the Muslim, and you talked about the Middle Belt. You also talked about, you said the Christians.
The southern part.
Yeah, the southern. But it would seem as if the media and a couple of others, maybe in the West, have tried to box these people into that idea, because careful studies have shown that we have Christians in large numbers in your state, for instance, Kaduna State. We have Christians in very large numbers in Borno State. So we have them in Taraba State.
Absolutely.
So don't you think it's high time we started letting people know that there's nothing right about saying the Muslim North and the Christian South?
That absolutely is. Absolutely is wrong. Look, my local government, Markafi, we have a large number of Christian indigenous, So of course, and we associate, we relate, so this is common in the north, and that is what the south does not know. There may be a few states that you don't find that somewhat. But in any case, if you're a Nigerian and are not a Muslim, you can reside anywhere. It's not a question of you have to be indigenous, to a particular area for you to have rights and privileges, respected, in any state you decide to reside. But what I was even talking about, referring that, in the Burnungwari Zamfara axis, this is a Muslim area, dominated area, except Christian people that have settled there. Equally, in the things go on in Plateau, Benue, where you have this argument, you see that is Christian-dominated area. So, for government to think that it's local politicians that are killing their own people, I said it doesn't make sense.
Corruption is one issue that has bedeviled our country, yes. And it is one of the cardinal issues that this government came to office on. Your assessment of the fight against corruption by the government led by Muhammad Buhari, the president, what do you think?
I support the fight against corruption. I believe every reasonable, sensible Nigerian and that the majority support it, but it is how it is being done. Look, first of all, corruption did not start from 1999. Corruption had been in Nigeria, but we seem to think that corruption only started in 1999. And we seem to create this view that it's only when you are not in office that you are deemed to have been corrupt and maybe you are investigated. When you are in office, do whatever you like, you are covered. You will not succeed. The fight will succeed if we confront it dealing with issues, whether you are in office or out of office, and irrespective of which political party you belong to. Again, in the fight against corruption, we are making an error, demarketing Nigeria and turning Nigerians into a country full of rocks that all the money of the country is stolen by Nigerians, which is not correct. Let me explain here. Look, supposing a state government had a budget of 15 billion, and then somebody thinks that you did not spend 500 million correctly. When they are going to charge you or make headline, they say governor or minister diverted, mismanaged 15 billion. Instead of what was it that was mismanaged? What part of that money was mismanaged? To make the headline, they just look at the whole picture of the money that must have been deployed, the arms money that is being investigated. We all know that it's not the entire 2.something billion that is alleged to be diverted. But instead of talking how much of that was diverted, we prefer to talk of the entire sum. And that's why Nigerians are asking, why is all that money recovered? Because we are quoting huge, huge figures that is not the issue. The issue are fractions of those figures. But in order to make headline that you are this serious, this is what you are doing, we look at the whole instead of what is the issue that is suspect. Nigerians outside that will not have the time to find out what the correct issue. They will look at it in the larger picture we're painting. That is not really what it is.
I'm tempted to ask even, we know, without being prejudicial in this matter, so stay off the character and dramatis persona here. In your own reading, would you agree that some of the monies were diverted?
Well, definitely, I will agree there must have been some diversion. But let's be specific. How much of that? Let's not be calling the full sum. At least from what has come out, there must have been some diversion. But let's be honest to ourselves and say, how much was that? And for what purpose, and who did it? Okay, I have said this repeatedly. A lot of our party men and women that are charged to court election funding, they say some of the money was diverted and used for election funding. In my opinion, those being charged are the wrong people. Even if you are going to charge somebody, they are the wrong people you are charging. Because it's not a new thing that parties at the center fund elections when they come. Since I was in office, since 2003, the center has been funding elections. When we receive funds to conduct the elections, nobody will know where you got the money. Only we know that you have given money for security, for agents, and you have applied that money accordingly. But the person who gave you the money is not charged. It's you who received the money that is being charged.
It brings to mind one key issue now, electioneering campaigns, which is very, very important. Do we have a system whereby we can get funding so that it doesn't look like it is when the party comes to power, they can put their hands, in the national pie to fund elections?
Absolutely, there is a system we can get funding.
For instance, your party is not in government now, so how does it intend to fund this particular?
No, I wouldn't tell people how we get funding, but we
because
get
it's the first time your party will go into an election without a national purse.
Look, substantially, donations fund elections. Substantially. I don't have the details of what happened in 2019 that if we made any mistake, error, 2015, that that occurred. But I know that the private sector, other players contribute, to election funding. And that is what our party men and women have always known. So when in 2015 they received these funds to conduct the elections, the presumption was in the same system that they have been used to, donations that people have made. And that's why I am talking in favor of defending these people, most of them that are charged. That is not something new. Past elections, they've been receiving these funds that are donated, by legitimate donors, to conduct elections. I'm talking of the issue of fighting corruption and sometimes how it is politicized. By picking only our party men and women, that is politicization of fight against corruption, because the APC itself received for 2015 election more money than the PDP. I know, absolutely.
So you think absolutely this is selective in the fight?
In some aspect. In some aspect. No, of course. We should be honest and say in some aspect you can see selectivity. In some aspect you can't really say until the courts make pronouncements. It's not all the same issue, definitely. But there are some issues clearly, you can classify as political, whereas there are some issues that if you look at it on the face of it, you can see, there are matters that only the court can decide appropriately.
How has it been like being on the opposition? Being in the opposition for a while, the PDP was silent,
for me,
infighting, but now you would seem as if I just got your mojo back.
For me, the first time I found myself in game, I participated in politics, not elective or appointed, but active politically, even before now. And I've been on the side of opposition. The first time I got on the side of government was when I was elected, as governor. So that's nothing new to me. I remain a principled politician all my life. So to some, it may be a new experience, but to me, it's not.
The PDP in 2019, should they come into office, what are those things Nigerians would expect to see from a party that they still haven't forgotten time spent with?
Well, I can only talk if the PDP nominates me and I find myself in office. You know, for any other person, you know, apart from party issue, you know, you have to hear from the person himself.
Are you optimistic that you get a ticket?
No, well, I'm optimistic, but nothing is certain until it is done. I mean, I have equal chance like other people, you know, have chances, so time will tell.
Are you worried the numbers are swelling by the day?
The more the merrier.
Because you've been there, and while you were there, it was as if you stood a fine chance until we started getting to see former Vice President Atiku Abubakar return, some other people are returning, members of the RAPC, they're coming in.
You see, first, I'm a fulfilled person because some of these people were not there to support us even in our fight to get PDP back. But having gotten it back, they now see PDP as a platform, you know, to rush to, you know, to try to actualize, you know, their personal or life ambition. I'm grateful for the fact that we made it possible for them even to come. And the more the merrier. I'm not frightened. I'm not frightened by whoever joins the race. First of all, power comes from God, and whatever the party decides, so be it. I will give it my best, but it's not the first time I was in contest and I didn't get it. And what did I do? I didn't leave the party. I didn't take personal offense against, you know, the decision of the party. I don't get it this time around. Life goes on, but I will work hard to get it.
So what's your relationship with the party leadership, the chairman, and specifically one of the party leaders, Governor Wike?
My personal relationship with everybody is mutual respect. I hardly see or speak with most of these people except we meet at meeting because, except there is a reason to do so. I mean, we came together, we worked together, we succeeded in getting the party back to its feet. They don't owe me anything other than to assess me as an individual like they will assess other people as individual. I had no prior arrangement with anybody or group of people. If I had, I wouldn't be going up and down talking to people, you know, seeking for their support. I would just go to sleep. And if I had, mind you, I was in a position, I could have behaved like Madu Sharia and tried to elongate my stay beyond, after the Supreme Court judgment. But there was no time. I tried to make use of the office in such a way as to promote any personal aspirations that I may have.
So what exactly did you see that has given you this interest to vie for the presidency?
Well, I was in it 2007. It's not something new. So nobody will say that because I managed the party suddenly, you know, I developed interest. I was a leading figure. People even assumed that I was going to be the candidate in 2007, but it wasn't time, and went to my late brother, President Eradua, and we worked together and we secured victory. So it's not something which is sudden. It has been there. So having been an all-horse, so to say, in the field, I feel that I'm equally, eminently qualified, as others are qualified, to give it a try once again.
So you've been going around the country so far, and what vibe do you get when you tell them of your intention?
Well, if I'm discouraged, I won't continue to go around. But I won't be so specific because that is telling my adversaries how well I'm doing.
You think you stand...
My fellow contestant, not adversary, sorry.
Okay, if you don't get a ticket, will you still be a member of the PDP should another party offer you a platform to realize your ambition?
No, I will not go to another party to pursue this issue. As a matter of fact, I will remain in the PDP, except if I'm going to leave politics, then I will decide to do that and deal with other issues.
Dr. Markafi, what kind of politician are you? Because you seem to be someone who's trying to build, apart from having your legacy, having your own ideology. Because we woke up in Nigeria and we realized that the fashionable thing for an average Nigerian politician to do is when you don't get what you want on your platform, you seek it elsewhere. But you just said to the people that you still choose to remain with the PDP, except you want to leave active politics.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I believe I'm qualified, I'm competent, but I'm not the only person. There are other people to hold that office. But it's not something that I say I will have that come what me. I must be. You don't force people to make you their leader. You can't force the hands of God anyway. You can't force people, not talk of God. So I'm a man of faith. So I take whatever comes as something that is the wish of the people, is the will of God, and I move on. But that doesn't mean I will not give it a try. I will give it all that I can. I don't have the money to buy it. Some people say, oh...
I was going to ask you that. Do we still have our politics, Nigerian politics, spiced with money and money bags?
Well, some people use that as credential. But the issue is that, what are you buying people? I mean, if you are buying people, fine, use money. And for me, look back to history. Tafawa Balewa, did he have money? And did they have money when they became leaders? Shehu Shagari, did he have money? Obasanjo, when he got elected, did he have money? Yar'Adua, did he have money? Goodluck, did he have money? I cannot see somebody who had money and bought presidency in Nigeria. Presidency is a great...
You have money bags. Sorry, I'm not cutting you. There are money bags who seem to pump in their money.
No, I'm coming. That's where I'm getting at. Those people with money, if they see a credible candidate, they put in their money. But no one single individual has the resources to go on his own or her own to win the presidency. The issue is how you are accepted by the voters, by the money back. It's a conglomeration of everybody. If people, the diverse interest groups have this faith and confidence in you, they will support you, some with the resources, some with their energy, some with their intellect, with whatever that will make you to win the election. And I believe I stand a good chance in that regard. Even the issue of restructuring that people talk about, and some of us try to play politics with it. As a policy of PDP, we believe in restructuring. But you see, for you to be able to lead Nigerians to deal with the issue of restructuring, you have to be trusted by the North, South, East, and West. If some parts of this country cannot trust you as a leader, you can equally not implement the issue of restructuring. Because right from day one, they suspect you of one thing or the other. And I believe North or South, East or West, on balance, I can earn the trust of Nigerians to lead Nigerians to talk on how we should continue as a nation. So for me, there are many positives that go for me. As there are positives, I go with some others. But I'm confident that if these positives are looked at, I have a pretty good chance.
Did the conversation at the national conference address some of those issues your party seek to, pursue in terms of restructuring?
Well, time that was then. Some issues discussed then may be obsolete, but there are new issues that must have come up. So we have all these reports. We don't have to start all over again. We can dust them up, review them, remove what is obsolete, bring in what we consider as current, that needs to be dealt with, and we'll move ahead.
Let's see if we can close on two other issues. President Muhammad Buhari, the president of Nigeria, our president, do you think he's doing a good job?
Well, in the area, I've already mentioned the area of security, that he has recorded relative successes in the issue of Boko Haram, but he could have done better. But then you have problem wider than Boko Haram that the government is unable to deal with. So there, if we commend him for doing fairly well, definitely you can commend his government, in this part, in this respect. In the area of economy, well, let's say we are out of recession because price of crude has risen, but stop looking at the issue of GDP growth. Dealing with economy and improving the lives of people is the issue of how better off are people in terms of condition of living. Create middle class, wealth redistribution through legitimate means. So some few people might have gotten more money at the expense of many, many more millions of Nigerians. And people can't see it. Here is a minus. In the area of even government institution working as one, you find one government unit fighting the other. Totally unnecessary. Government must be able to coordinate all the units under it so that they work in harmony in the interest of everybody. The APC party is in disarray. The National Assembly is not working in tandem with the executive. We must, if I were president, I'll bring about this harmony of all for the good of the nation. Not for the good of the leaders. I'm talking for the good of the nation.
Because you've been a governor.
I've been in the Senate.
You've been in Senate.
Knowing both sides. And I've managed the party. So I know about party politics and whatever. I know about the legislature and how to manage it. And I know about how to equally manage executive at a smaller level. So when you bring totality of this, I believe I will be well placed to manage all these conflicting, not really conflicting, all these bodies that need to work in harmony with one another for the good of all of us. In terms of national cohesion, the body language and what is coming out of government, both as federal and from some states, has strained the fabric that binds us together. Definitely, I believe I can do better in dealing with that strain.
Now let's close on this. Were you excited seeing former President Olusegun Obasanjo make an appearance in the PDP, conference the last time? Because he had said he has left active politics, and he tore your own party card, which gave him some kind of legal backing as a member of the PDP. His appearance on that day.
Well, first of all, you see, I have not talked with him, I have not talked with anybody, but remember the event took place at the library center, and he basically lives there. So whether it was planned or coincidental, I'm not in a position to know. But I know that he's at the forefront of building a coalition of political parties. Even if not belonging to any political party, he's one of those at the forefront of building a coalition of political parties to deal with the issues confronting Nigeria at the moment. And I'm grateful that he's doing that.
Do you have a role model politician?
The first set of politicians, not one single individual. You talk of Ahmed, Tafab, Alia, Zik, Awolo, they are my role models. Amini Kano, and like Attack.
Senator Ahmed Markafi, many thanks for speaking with us on Political Stew.
My pleasure.
Well, that's a wrap of the show, and we'll keep the conversation going. From time to time, we'll leave the comfort of our studios and go all out and see what we can actually gather. He's going for the presidency 2019, and we've had our conversations on a whole lot of issues. Well, many thanks. But before we go, we have to set the record straight. Something has been trending, and that has to do with the resignation of, or the purported resignation of Bolaji Abdullahi. And I have Julius Ogunro on phone with us. He's the media aide to the APC spokesman. Good to have you join us on Political Stew. Quickly here, Julius, what's the latest? Has Bolaji Abdullahi resigned or not?
Good evening, Sulai. He has not resigned. It is just mere speculation. If he were to resign, he will not speak about it. He's going to issue an official statement, or I would issue that statement. So far, there's no statement. There's no truth in the speculation that he had resigned. If you still remember,
what about the release or the messages coming out from Mr. Omishore Bankole, an aide to Senate President?
Omisore does not speak for Malam Bolaji Abdullahi. Omisore does not work for Malam Bolaji Abdullahi. I think that question is better put to him. I don't know how he got about the information that he had that Malam Bolaji Abdullahi resigned. But I'm speaking to you, Malam Bolaji Abdullahi, the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, has not resigned from the party as we speak. If he is to resign, he will issue a statement, but there is no statement. He's still a member of the party.
We'd like to thank you very much, Julius Ogunro, for setting the record straight here on Political Stew on Television Continental. That's a wrap on the show. We'll be back again right here next week.